And with that, I'll ask if anyone has any questions.
I was wondering, the Department of Agriculture used to come out and they come out quarterly or whatever and do their inspections, and they inspect hoses and nozzles and things like that. Is Duval County inspectors also doing that? Have they merged or?
They do look at the hoses and nozzles of the dispensers, but some of, and Dave can help me here, I know some of that equipment is not regulated. It's not required. You don't have an equipment list number. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just want to expound on that a little bit. Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services does their own inspections at gas stations primarily to look at the quality of the gasoline and also to look at the accuracy of the dispensers. That's their sole focus. And for our purpose, and it's meant from a consumer viewpoint. Our purpose is we'll look at the hoses and dispensers to make sure they're not leaking, but that's it.
Yeah, we just look to see they're in good condition.
And real quickly too, DEP has authority to basically regulate the entire dispenser, although in the past the lawyers didn't think they quite had that ability, but the more recent legal opinions that they can basically regulate the entire dispenser. But more typically, DEP is going to be concerned about what happens from the shear valve downwards. Yet at the same time, if there's something leaking up in your meters, your filters, and it's putting fuel in your dispenser sump, then the county inspector is going to be dealing with that.
I know about the 30-day notice to upgrade your tanks or anything, but if I upgrade equipment at a dispenser on an existing AST, do I need a notification? Or just just start doing an inspection on the dispenser as part of my.
When you say equipment, what?
Like, say I have an existing tank, and I change from a top-mounted pump to a dispensing system, maybe bracketed to the tank or something like that. We have to do the dispenser inspection for water and all. Do I need to give notification to change that equipment on the existing tank?
If I understand it right, that is in the exemption. Is that correct, Dave? For the dispensers and upgrades, does not require the 30-day notification?
If I heard that correctly, if you're going to work on anything that's going to require a PSSC, it's going to require notification.
If you're breaking pipe.
Yes.
If you're breaking pipe, that's going to require a PSSC to do the work.
Yeah.
If you're not breaking pipe, it's sort of like a repair, then you don't have to have the PISC. But if you break pipe,
but
then in that case, the county's going to be...
Is that for UST or AST?
I'm sorry, what?
That's only for underground. For above ground.
Right, exactly.
But he was saying above ground.
Oh, he's saying above ground.
Yeah.
Okay, for above ground, you're right. There's nothing that requires a PISC.
Okay.
In that case, if you're breaking pipe, and Dave, do they care about the dispensers?
Yeah, pretty much if you're looking at, if you're working on something that we consider a regulated component, it's going to require notification. That would be piping, your dispenser sump, piping sump. Things that would not require notification would be drop tube replacement, filter replacement, and really anything above the shear valve in the dispenser. But if you're going to work on the shear valve itself, that question came up from Alachua County recently. Yes, that would require notification.
So basically what I'm saying is like your heating oil tank, you have the top mount hand pump. Basically I'll have a 110 volt top mounted to an AST. If I want to add a retail dispenser or something that is a little more accurate and move that top mount pump to a sump pump and just pipe it to that dispenser, am I going to have to get notification to change that pump from a top mounted pump to a dispenser?
And this is on a non-retail.
Right. Commercial AST.
Commercial AST.
Right.
That's regulated. It's over.
It is regulated because it's over 550. The tank and everything won't move. It's just a matter of adding equipment.
So it won't be a retail inspector. I mean, dispenser, but it will still be a more robust.
It'll be liquid controlled meter, basically, so for their
I'll defer to the county on that one. Just to Dave, or what do you think?
The county will refer to them.
Yeah.
Should I notify this in case?
Well,
if I heard that correctly, I thought I heard something about a piping.
Well, basically what it is, say you put out you know, say we put out an above ground tank, and, you know, the pump is mounted at the top of the tank. And, you know, it's, you know, the meter and everything, you know, it's just regular air control, you know, meters. Say the customer's running a fleet and wants a more accurate counting, you know, I'd have to install some type of weights and measure dispenser. So basically what I'm saying is, do I have to give notification is if I take that pump off the top and plumb the dispenser into the tank from that drop tube.
Okay, plumb the dispenser into the tank from the drop tube.
Right. I remove the top mounted pump
Yeah,
and say the dispenser already has a sump. Yeah.
Yeah, because the replacement of the pump itself is not going to require notification.
Right, but the
Piping is
addition of the
paused.
dispenser.
Yes, the piping is to be paused, and if it's going to be regulated piping that you're installing, that's going to require.
But above ground isn't regulated double wall yet.
Well, no, it's right. If you're piping above grade, does not have to have secondary containment, but just the same, it's still regulated piping.
Right.
And that's, I think that's what he's saying, is that if you, since you're replacing piping, that will kick you into doing the
Of course,
notification.
you're adding piping, that's
Yeah,
the thing.
adding piping.
New install or replacement.
Right, but if you're just, they have, let's say you have an existing hand pump, and you're just replacing that won't be.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it was the addition of the dispenser I was wondering about.
Yeah, and the addition to the dispenser would not by itself, unless you're going to be installing additional piping. That stuff gave me pause.
Yeah, because, I mean, you'd have to install the additional piping to bring the fuel from the top of the tank to the dispenser.
Yeah, that will be considered a piping installation, and likely that's going to require notification.
Is that a 30-day?
Yes.
But again, no piss, because it's an ASC.
Yeah, gotcha.
And you mentioned heating oil as well.
Well, I just using his tank as an example, as the above ground, as I'm, you know, was trying to explain. So I know a lot of people have more with the USTs, but I deal more with ASTs. So that's why I was curious.
And now you see why I don't have all the answers.
Well, again, there's a lot of different shades in this, and sometimes they change over the years, but again, that's, if you have a question, call the county, call the district, and if you don't get the answer, then they might refer you to Tallahassee. Tallahassee may not be able to give you the answer, because actually the people in the field have a little more practical field knowledge than the people in Tallahassee who are chained to their desks nowadays. And there's been a lot of turnover in personnel in Tallahassee. I mean, people here remember Farid Mogadam. He died like 4 months ago. He has a history of heart failure in his family, and so he died. So he's gone. They lost his position. John Sveck is still there, but he's had some family medical problems as well. They had 2 other people with some health problems that had to leave, and so the tank section in Tallahassee is really not what it used to be. If you want good information, my recommendation is calling Rick Vale, still on registration. He's still there for a little while. He's going to be retiring soon. I know he's in the drop program. And then Louis Corman is another person who's been there a long time. So they have more of the institutional memory that can help you out. And then of course Bill Burns, the administrator, has been there 3 years now, so he should have enough knowledge to help you out for those technical questions.
I'd like to add a little bit to that, in that I do recommend that you go up the chain of command when you ask questions. Start with the local tanks inspector in your county. If they can't answer it, or you think they won't answer it, elevate that to their supervisor, and then from there to the district office, call Mike Linnell or I, and from there, after that, you can call Tallahassee. I would recommend avoiding calling the program office unless it's a major program-wide type of a question and not a detailed type of a question. We'll start with the local inspector. If you don't get a satisfactory answer there, give me a call. If that doesn't work, then probably Tim Doheny really is going to be the last resort that you'd like.
And Dave's absolutely right on that. That's exactly what you should do.
That goes for complaints as well.
And for everything, in particular, if you have a problem with the county inspector, go to the county manager first, because the county manager may not know that their inspector's doing something that might be wrong. And then if you're dissatisfied, then go up the chain of command, like Dave says, because unless managers know what's going on, unless someone tells them, then they don't know. And so, but try to work it out with the county inspector first. Just, if you have a disagreement, I'd say, on the rule interpretations, I would just show them the rule and say, it's always been my understanding the interpretation is this, and if they disagree, then that's again where you probably will end up at the district and for a resolution. Because it happens, it's a big rule. One of the things that makes the rule difficult and complex is, and I alluded a little bit to it this morning, and I'll do more this afternoon, that there are so many different types of entities that have storage tanks. When you look at school boards, military, retail, aviation, on and on. All these interests, when the rule was made, brought their lawyers. And all their lawyers wanted to make sure that their language got put in the rule so they could bill for it. And so, and DEP's job was to try to take all those different rule suggestions and make sure they're compatible and there wasn't any conflicts. So just the same, it's a 40-page rule. There's a lot of room for interpretation. And I was asked once, years ago, to put the rule in Spanish. And I said no. And I almost got in trouble for it. I said, no, why should we? I mean, I have a hard enough time getting interpretations in one language. Why compound the problem and add a whole other language? Not only that, but I can tell you in Florida now, half of the owners in Florida are members of the Asian American Convenience Store Association. And they're a good group of people, but obviously their first language may not be English. And so let's say if it's Indian, there's 300 different Indian dialects. Which one do you want me to choose? And so the rule is in English, and I think it's good because that way it minimizes misinterpretations.